Hello everyone. Um, it's kind of late at night and I'm like a little bored. So I'm gonna go through this practice test for the GRE Quantitative Reasoning section. So I made another video on a GRE math test. Now that one was specifically geared towards um, like math majors going into a math related field of graduate study. This is a section on the general GRE, so it is administered to anyone applying to grad school. So obviously the questions are going to be not as involved, at least in the material. From what I've heard, there's a lot of like trick questions that you kind of have to think about. Um, so I'm just gonna go through this. Um, so you have 40 minutes and there's 25 questions. So the first 9 questions, so this is for questions 1 through 9, have this format where you have options A, B, C, D. A meaning that, so basically there's some setup to the problem and then they give you some quantity A, quantity B, and you're basically asked to determine whether one's larger than the other, or if they're equal, or if you can't determine. Um, so actually, I'm gonna wait for my recording timer to hit 2 minutes, just so I can make sure that I'm gonna make it, or I'm gonna have a clear 40 minutes. I expect to make it faster than 40 minutes, but all right, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so here we have a circle. So our quantity A is x and our quantity B is 5. So we have this right angle with 3, 4, and we see that this radius of the circle is 5 via the Pythagorean theorem. This is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Now we also have this radius here that is also 5 because this is a circle. So that means x is also equal to 4 because this is, again, a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So quantity A is small. So, okay. So quantity B is greater, so you would fill in B. Um, all right. Runner A ran 4/5 kilometer, and runner B ran 800 meters. Well, so a kilometer is 1,000 meters, and 4/5, well, 1/5 of 1,000 is 200, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So these quantities are equal. Now we're given that x is less than y is less than z, and we're asked to compare the average of x, y, and z and y. So in general, you can't determine this information. You can obviously construct, um, you know, samples where the average is less than y, and where it's greater or where it's equal. So you can't determine from the given information. Okay, here we have a right triangle with 50 degrees. So that means this is 40 degrees. And there's a theorem in geometry saying that, the longer sides are going to be opposite from larger angles. So that means x is greater than y. And obviously y is positive because these are lengths. So if you divide by y, you get that x over y is greater than 1, and so quantity A is greater. They can't be equal because this is 50 and not 45. 45 would mean they're equal. Okay. All right, so we have x is less than y is less than 1. We're asked to determine 1 minus y and y minus x. I believe this can't be determined. So for instance, um, you could pick like 1/2 and 1/4. This would give you 1/4 and 1/2. Okay, so that's A greater than B. Let's construct uh let's construct B greater than A. If this were 3/4 and this were 1/4, then this would be 1/2 and this would be 1/4. So it can't be determined. Okay. P is the probability that E will occur. S is the probability that E will not occur. So p plus s is equal to 1. Now, probabilities are less than 1, and if you multiply well, between 0 and 1. So if you multiply two numbers which are between 0 and 1, you again get something that is between 0 and 1. So quantity A is greater. X is the set of all integers n that satisfy this inequality. So that would mean you have -5, dot, 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 -2, and then 2, dot, 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 5. Alright, quantity A is the absolute value of the greatest integer, and quantity B is the absolute value of the least integer. So we see that these are both equal to 5. So it's C. X and M are positive numbers. M is a multiple of 3. So that means that M is greater than or equal to 3. So this is using division rules for exponents. This is x minus 3, and this is x to the m over 3. Now, if x is positive, I mean, obviously you could take. I think it's you can't determine, um, because like consider m equal 3, then like this would be 1, and then this would be x, and then x could be you could vary x from being less than 1 or greater than 1, so you can't determine. Um, y is normally distributed with a mean of 200 and a standard deviation of. So the probability of the event that y is. So this is y is greater than 2 standard deviations away from the mean, or y minus mu is greater than 2 standard deviations. Now, I'm a little rusty on my stats, but I believe that this area comes out to be something like 80 to 90%. Let's say 80% at worst, because I think this one standard deviation is 64. So let's say 80% at worst. That means that this tail would be 10%, right? Because you have, if it's 80, then you have 10 and 10. And then 10% is 1/10, which is less than 1/6. So I believe quantity B is greater. And obviously, if this were like 90 degrees, then this would be 5%, and it's getting smaller. So I believe B is the greater one. I'm a little rusty on that, though. Okay, so those were the sort of compare questions. Now we have some sort of normal questions. The ratio of 1/3 to 3/8 is, you divide 1/3 by 3/8, so that's 8 over 9. So that's the ratio of 8 to 9. A reading list for a humanities course consists of 10 books, 4 biographies, the rest are novels. Each student is required to read a selection of 4 books, including 2 or more biographies. How many selections of 4 books make the requirement? So you have B1 through B4, and then N1 through N6. And you have to choose at least, so 4 books, at least 2 of them have to be biographies. So let's say you have 4 times 3 choices for the biographies, and then that's divided by 2. And then you choose the other 2 from everything put together, so that's 8. So you have 8 times 7, that's divided by 2. So this is 6 times 28. Is that right? Yeah. 6 times 28. This is going to end in an 8. So that's not right. Okay. Each student is required to... Oh, I see. Okay. How about I do... Okay, so you could do 4 choose 2 times 6 choose 2 plus 4 choose 3 times 6 choose 1 plus 4 choose 4 6 choose 0. So here I'm breaking this up into cases. This is the case where you choose 2 biographies, 2 novels. This is the case where you choose 3 biographies, 1 novel, and so on. So this is 6 times 15, is that right? Yeah, 6 times 15 plus 4 times 6 plus 1. So this is 6 times 19 plus 1. 6 times 9, so this ends in a 5, so it's B or D. This is less than 6 times 20, which is 180. I mean, sorry, 120, so this is B. Alright. Great. How am I doing on time? So I'm at 8:40 seconds. Okay, so I think I'm fine. In a graduating class of 236 students, 142 took algebra, 121 took chemistry. What is the greatest number of students that could have taken both algebra? Um, I guess it would just be 121. Um, yeah, I don't see why not. All right. So M is parallel to K and S equals T plus 30. So here, this means here we can move this S down. Now S plus T is 180. So substituting S equals T plus 30 gives you 2T plus 30 equals 180. So 2T is 150, and so T is 75. 2x, okay, so X is 10, Y is, so you know it's better. So 2 times 3 times 4 is 24. So this is 1/2 of 2x, 3y, 4z, right? Because the 1/2 is coming from, if you multiply all these together, you get 24 x, y, z, and so that 12 is 1/2 of 24. So this is 1/2 of 20 cubed. Now 20 cubed is going to be 8, right? 2 cubed, and then followed by 3 zeros, and then divide that by 2, you get 4,000. Okay. For the following question, so with the square boxes, you have to choose like all that apply. Okay, so Mary paid for a book. Okay, so she paid 1.04 times the price of the book. So this is B plus 0.04 B. Now, essentially what this is telling us is that this is at most, or is greater than $7. Okay, why is that? That's because she pays $10 and she gets back less than $3, which means she paid more than 7. So indicate the price of the book was less than 9.5. Oh, and we also know that this price has to be, this has to be less than $10. So, could this be, let's say, 9.51? Well, if we multiply this by 0.04, or I guess, do not. Okay, so this is going to be 0.02 times 19. Yeah. And then that's going to be 0.01 times 38, which is 0.38. So the sales tax here is 38 cents. Meaning that I believe she could pay, I believe that the book could be 9.51. If you do that, times 0.04. Well, yeah, because this is saying the price of the book was less than 9.5, but it can be equal to 9.5. So A is out of the picture. Price of the book was greater than 6.9. So again, we can check, can it be equal to 6.9? So let's check. So we want to do this times 0.04. So the sales tax has to be, under $7 or under 10 cents, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So you have 27.6. Yeah, so, yeah, so 6.9 is valid, so it's not that. Sales tax was less than 0.45. So let's say if the sales tax is 4.5. Now, I don't know if it's the case that, at least one of the options has to be chosen. So this is 45 over 4, which means that this is 11.25. So this means the book was 11.25, which means she couldn't have possibly paid for it with a $10 bill. So C is correct. Okay. How many non-zero digits will the decimal have? Okay, so the trick here is to make these into some multiple of a power of 10, which we can do by extracting the excess powers of 5, and we get 5 to the 6 times 10 to the 11. Of course, this is all over 1. Oh, and you know what? No, actually, you want to make it so that you have the power on top and then a power of 10 on bottom. And this is 64 times 10 to the negative 17, which means this is going to be 0.0 blah 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 64, so it has 2 non-zero digits. Yeah. Okay, so here we have, oh my lord, what is this? Okay. The least amount of caffeine in a 5-ounce cup of drip brewed coffee. So here's drip brewed. Exceeds. Okay, so this is the least amount. Exceeds the greatest amount of caffeine in a 5-ounce cup of cocoa. Alright, so that's this. By approximately how many milligrams? So this is like, if I had to estimate, this was like 20. And then this is like 60. So like 40. It's around 40. Yeah. Alright. For how many of the 11 categories can caffeine in the given? So for this, we just have to count how many things dip past this line. Um, so, um, in other words, we can just count how many don't go past, because that's easier. So these two don't go past, everything else goes past. And there's 4, 4, and 3, so that's 11. So, so 11 minus 2, so 9. Approximately, what is the minimum amount of caffeine consumed per day? 2 10-ounce mugs, so that's 4 times 5 of percolated coffee and 1 12-ounce cup. So that's 2.4. So the minimum amount of caffeinated soft drink. Okay, so So for a caffeinated soft drink, the minimum is around 30. So 2.4 times 30 plus 4 times percolated coffee. This is about 40, I'd say. Um, so this is going to be 24 times 3 is 72 plus 160. That gives you 232, which is pretty darn close to 230. So I'm going to take it that that's right. Alright, how am I doing on time? 18 minutes, 40 seconds. Alright, there's one more question on this data set. Which of the following shows the four types according to the range from least range? Four types of coffee. So we're just looking at these. So obviously decaf coffee has the least range. So it's none of these. And the biggest range, well, the next biggest range would be instant, right? Um, okay, so, well, they have us beat on that one. Which of these? Okay, so this is like 60 to 180, so 120. This is like 40 to 170, so like 130. So I think percolated coffee is the most. That's really hard. I'm like eyeballing that, but um, from least to greatest. Yeah. Uh, oh shoot. I think this might be for the next problem. Uh, shoot. Okay. Um. Oh crap. Okay. All right. If S is a speed in miles per hour at which the energy used per meter during the running, so the running is this thick line, and it's twice the amount of walking. So here we have like 140. This is a little over 300. So here they're equal. This is 150. This is... So here it's gone from more than double to what looks like less than double. Right, because this is 150 and this is less than 300. So it has to be somewhere in this range. Here, it's more than double. So I believe it's between, yeah, it's between 2.5 and 3. It's obviously less than 3, and this is the only option that's less than 3. If n equals 2 cubed, well, this is 8, so 8 to the 8, or 2 cubed to the 8, which is 2 to the 3 times 8, right? So 2 to the 24. All right, AB is 10 root 3. Which of the following statements individually provides sufficient additional information to determine the area? Okay. So if we knew... Alright, let's think. DBC is an equilateral triangle. So that means this is 60, this is 60, so this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And that it adds up. And so you would know that this is 10. So yeah, this would be good. ABD is isosceles. ABD. Now, I'm going to skip that one. So length of BC is 10. That certainly, because then you can just do 1/2 A times B. The length of AD is 10. I don't think that cuts it. The length of BC is equal to the length of AD. Yeah, these two are congruent. Um, I also don't think that cuts it. ABD is isosceles. So this has to be less than 90, and this is obviously less than 90. Um, so these have to be the ones that are equal, because if these two were equal, then these would be both, if they were equal, then since this is less than 90, this would be less than 90, and then this would be, well, no, that would be fine. Um, I'm just trying to think that, does it have to be the case that these two are the congruent sides? Like, can these be congruent? This is 10 root 3, then this is 90 minus alpha over 2. This is 90 plus alpha over 2. This is 90 minus alpha, and this is alpha over 2. So everything adds up, right? So, yeah, I don't think it's this. I think it's just these two, but I'm really not sure. Um, anyway. Oh yeah, these are the last two questions. Okay, so we have an arithmetic sequence. We're given, so for simplicity, let's just call this a plus c, right? So an is a plus nc. So we have a plus c, a plus 3c, a plus 5c. Add up the c's, add up the a's, you get 3a plus 9c equals 27, implying that a plus 3c is 27, which is a sub 3. Sorry, not 27, 9. Now, what that means is that a1 plus a5 is 18, which means that 2a plus, no, that won't do. No, but a2, this is 2a plus 6c, which is twice of this, so this is 18. Alright, a desert outpost has a water supply that is sufficient to last 21 days for 15 people. How many days would the water last for 9 people? So the trick for this is that you have 21 days, and that lasts for 15 people. And so this should be equal to x times 9, right? Because if you decrease the number of people, less people are drinking, and so your water lasts longer. And therefore we can divide. This becomes 7 times 5, which is 35. And so that's the end. Yeah, that's the end. So I'm gonna go back to this question because this is really the only one I'm unsure on, and I still have time, 27 minutes in. So, um, So I think I for sure know that E won't work because AC is greater than 10 root 3, which means you can always find a point D such that this is going to equal 10. Um, on the same side of things, because really what you need is BC, something equivalent to knowing BC. Um, so let's call this X. Again, we want to be able to show that in these cases we can find variable, like X doesn't have to be fixed. If X isn't fixed, then the area is not fixed. Because we know the area is in direct proportion to X, so if X is changing, so is the area. Um, again, I don't think ABD works because as long as, like, AC is always going to be greater than 10 root 3, so you can always find a point where, this is, where this cuts off at 10 root 3, no matter, no matter what X is. Like, I can change X and I can always have these isosceles. So yeah, it's not this one. Length of BC is equal to the length of AD. So that means here we also have X. Um, again, no matter what X is, you can, it's gonna be less than AC, so you can always pick a point D such that AD equals X. So that won't fix the area. So yeah, it's just A and D. Um, all right, so that concludes it. I'm gonna pause and go over the answers, and then I'll be back after I do that. Okay, so I just got done reviewing. I wanted to go back to this question because, yeah, so my estimate, my answer was correct, but this two standard deviations covers about 95% of normalized, or normally distributed data. So I was embarrassingly off, but still my my lower estimate was correct. I knew it had to be pretty high, but it was a lot higher than I remembered. Now there was one question I got wrong, which was with this data thing. It was over here. And the reason I was wrong is because here, with the 12-ounce cups of caffeinated soft drinks, so here in this little footnote, the cups of coffee are 5 ounce, and the soft drinks are 12 ounce, and then these are single doses or whatever. So for here, you don't have to multiply by anything because what they give you is they give you a 12-ounce cup and this graph is telling you that this is for a 12-ounce cup. So the minimum is exactly 30, meaning this is 30 plus 160 or 190. So the correct answer would be B. And that was the only thing that I missed. Of course, due to a lapse in reading, which is so very typical of me. This was correct, thankfully, and yeah. So hopefully this video is of use to someone preparing for the GRE, like myself. Of course, I need to practice more on reading and vocab and writing, all the fun stuff. But yeah, this is definitely a video that's not suited towards my normal audience. So hopefully someone finds this helpful. I know there's an abundance of GRE prep on the internet. So yeah, thank you for watching.